Hi, my name is Jenny, and this is my presentation of the statistics that I did on superheroes. So let's get into it. We're going to go over Superheroes the Movie Volume 1. We're starting at the origin story, questions of our fascination, ours as meaning fans of superheroes. We're going to go behind the cape of the statistics of the Cape Crusaders and their adoring fans, and becoming of a hero, and the types of age and event paradigm that happens with people who watch superhero movies, and some variables about why we would need superheroes. So, into the statistics. As we can see, we're going to have a faithful superhero with us that's going to be answering the tough questions, or asking tough questions, and then answering. So, the origin of the survey. We're going to ponder the question, are superhero movies watched more by males or females? And is there any other variables to consider, like the age and gender of the person or person participating in the survey, and the time of the movie and current events of that era? So, here are the numbers that I took, and it took a long time asking people at bus stops, which is pretty awkward when you're walking around with a superhero shirt. Most people think you're crazy and don't want to talk to you. That's okay. So I asked 50 people, ages ranging from 15 to 19, 20 to 24, 25 to 30. I asked a few more people that were outside of the ranges, so it didn't really matter because that would have skewed the survey itself. Of the ages 15 to 19, everybody surveyed in that category said it was males that would watch superhero movies more, and so 20 to 24, 14 of them answered males, 2 females. Ages 25 to 30, it was 11 answered males, 5 answered females. And on the bottom, surveyee is a person that answered the question, who would watch superhero movies more, male or females. So, as you can see, even in the category, some people did say females. Not a lot of people, but it's more the older crowd that would say that. And there's actually a good theory to that, which we'll get into. So if we took these numbers and put them onto a chart, we can see that the best way to do it would be in a column graph. That way you could, or a column bar chart. So it would be better for you to see, and it looks like this. What Agent Coulson from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is looking at is the charts of seeing the progression of males being the more prominent answer compared to females, also within the age group. And the surveying, too, mostly people who answered were a lot of females answered males, not so many males answered females. Okay, continuing. The results of it, we did this into a frequency distribution on a percentage scale. So through the age ranges, I just hit my computer. Through the age ranges 15 to 19, 36% think men watch more of the Cape Crusaders, which was, for that category, is actually 100%. It was all of them that thought that. Ages 20 to 24, 28% of men and 4 think female do. 25 to 30, 22% of males, behind with 10% for females. There are variables that can account for this, even though the age range is kind of small. It's only like a 15-year age range, but that's technically almost a generation gap. So that's speaking from generation, what was the last one before the millenniums? It was Generation Y. I think Generation X was like those kids that grew up in the 80s. So this would be Generation Y, and then leading into the millennials. So, the correlation variables of superheroes and gender preferences, it's an age determining factor. It's one of the biggest things for, we'll start at the bottom, for people age ranging 25 to 30, even though it's a small gap of people, there's actually a lot that happened through that gap, where major motion picture or people who are now 25 to 30 experience comic book formats of like graphic novels and comic books, like monthly or weekly ones coming out of their favorite superheroes, move from more of a book form in bookstores to cinematic format because the technology was changing so rapidly. They went from, you know, beavers to cell phone, or beavers to pagers to cell phones, and they went from analog TV to TV cable to DVDs. It was just a really big gap of technology that happened, so a lot of the format of your favorite Caped Crusaders started to come to your TV more, or come to your eye sockets more readily. People a little younger or born later, that I would say the mid-1980s, is 20 to 24-year-olds, there was a high influx of comic major motion pictures, which will account for during the times where those people were probably born, was about the early 90s, was the resurgence or revival. A lot of the classic comic book stories are the ones that started from DC and Marvel that came to more of the mainstream, and also with bigger names associated with the movies. And these children were grown up through this whole entire resurgence of comic book heroes coming for a new generation. And the ages 15 to 19, born about 2000, maybe late 90s, they were in the midst of a pop and nerd culture emergence, meaning that playing video games, RPGs, and even like the release of PlayStation, Xbox, all of that kind of stuff brought comic book heroes to another avenue of technology. So it's relatively now not just your favorite comic book star or movie star or action hero, but he's now your favorite video game hero. And so this has actually boosted a lot of people who would be into comic book heroes, which would, as you can tell, a lot of that technology that involves around it is mostly males playing video games, buying DVDs, reading comic books. It was more of a male dominated area. But and now this later generation, and because it's becoming more of a pop culture, or integrated into pop culture nowadays, females are becoming more into the nerd culture or comic books, because for every superhero there is always a superwoman of some sort. So as you can see, the trend that we're going through, you can see a lot of the major motion pictures, and a lot of the younger children would be more adept to seeing superheroes also portrayed by manly men. That's one of the biggest factors that would drive men being more interested in watching superhero things, because you always see the Caped Crusader saving the woman in the film, or being the hero for a city, and all men look up to them. It's a very macho, I guess you could say masculine thing, you can see. But a lot of, now there's actually, for Marvel, there's an article about the 20-year plan for Marvel Comics, or now the Marvel Universe. They're actually going to start integrating a lot more female characters. There's going to be a release of Wonder Woman, maybe a spin-off of Black Widow's character from the Avengers. So we're going to try, not we, but comic book world is going to start bringing more of the female characters to light, instead of them just being an accomplice or an antagonist to whoever the superhero of the film is. And moving on, so why do we need them? Why do we need superheroes? Why do we escape to this world that they are from? It is a form of escapism from everyday life for the viewer watching the superhero. And it's also a hope that, you know, at some point maybe the world would band together if we were being attacked by aliens, or there was a strange government takeover, and then, or there was like a superhero project coming about that could change people into superheroes, which is a conspiracy theory on its own. Transcendentalism, but that's okay. A lot of times superhero movies emerged during times of events of the world. For a lot of people growing up in the time where comic books started coming out, a lot of it, I would hate to say that it was propaganda, but comic books were a venue to voice things that were happening in the political atmosphere. Captain America had to do with the Nazis. Batman was a Cape Crusader in Gotham, which was kind of like the 1980s. Well, I guess the readaptation would be the 1980s bad New York area, or actually I guess any metropolis that you could see would fall into degradation. Through the 80s and 90s, you know, the Cold War Reaganomics, a lot of it had to do with nuclear testing. A lot of the comics, some of the movies too, had a lot to do with that, of finding nuclear weapons, destroying them. Superman, one of the first Superman, was about that. I think Superman 4, in the 1970s, late 1970s. In the early 2000s, 9/11, one of those led into the Iron Man movie coming. Spider-Man happened, filmed the same year of 9/11, and it was in New York City, so it was more of a patriotic thing. Spider-Man turned out to be a symbol of America, American-made comic, but also the colors of his uniform, plus the town that he was in, and he was fighting for better justice. They didn't have anything about like a Middle East conflict, but it was pointing in that kind of direction of like a patriotic thing. Iron Man 2008, the world was heading into a war, and Tony Stark's character was selling or making missiles to sell to allies in the Middle East, and that's how the movie starts, and that's how he got stuck there. So as you can see, like, a lot of it is being pushed towards the Middle Avenue, but also molded by current events that happened, and even later, probably the Iraq War, and kind of now where we're going to, where a lot of these movies are now pointing into even farther into the political atmosphere. It's kind of shady when you watch superhero movies nowadays. But that was my presentation. I'm going to attach the link shareable for the graphs, the numbers, the equations that I used for it. And next time when you go out, we'll see you at the movies. Bye.